so let's get started. As you heard the last session, all the leaders talked about AI as their favorite topic. And in this session, we are going to talk about the impact of AI on marketing and customer experience to some extent. Wherever you go and hear about AI, whether it's a VC event or any event, one of the major use cases that you hear about is marketing, usage in marketing, AI SDRs, and things like that, which is on the top of mind of all of us over here. We're all CMOs. And we have a power pack panel over here, but before I request them to introduce themselves, let me start with me. I am Anand Akela. I am Chief Marketing Officer at a company called Acalvio Technology. We do cyber deception, AI-powered deception. So we use AI to create fake objects, mix it with real things, so that when adversaries come looking for real things, they come across us and get caught. But today we are not here to talk about that. And we are going to talk about how we are using AI in marketing. So let's start with the introduction. Maybe Chandra, why don't you introduce yourself? Maybe introduce and just kind of talk summarize your kind of state of AI in your organization.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Chandra Rangan. Thanks for having me here, Anand, and it's nice to be here with all of you. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Neo4j. Neo4j is a graph database company, and graph database is one type of a NoSQL database, but it stores data very differently from traditional relational database models. I've been in the company for 3 years. Prior to that, I worked at Google Maps, and then I ran marketing for Google Cloud Platform. There's a little bit of feedback. Are we good?
Good. Sure.
I think I was getting feedback from. All right, can you hear me? This is better? Thank you. So prior to Neo4j, I spent some time at Google in Maps. Before that, in Google Cloud Platform. And then before that, I spent a lot of time in marketing in HPE, in Symantec, and I was also a management consultant in the past at McKinsey. So a little bit on sort of AI. AI has impacted us in two ways at Neo4j. First, just from a business perspective, when you want to build generative AI applications in companies, custom applications, and you want to use an LLM at the back end, the prevailing sort of way to do it is a methodology called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. And the retrieval in RAG stands for basically how do you get data out of a store, which is a database, right? This is where vector databases play a big role. But vector databases alone are not typically sufficient for high enough accuracy for complex cases, for production applications using LLMs. So graph databases play a big role there. So Neo4j, as a business, we've got a really big play in being part of the generative AI stack, where a graph database can improve accuracy and explainability. But there's a second place where AI is being used and impacts Neo4j in a very, very deep way. That is, how do we use AI in our company to do a better job, right? And part of that is things like we now use AI pretty extensively in engineering to actually speed up productivity for our engineers. Our engineering team sits in Malmö in Sweden, and we hire a lot of people from the local university. And so there is a big ramp time for engineers before they can get going, for example, with the next kernel extensions on our database, right? So in that case, it's actually really helpful to actually get going faster when it comes to coding. We also introduce AI as an assistive technology as part of our product, right? If somebody wants to query a database, they can do it with natural language as opposed to learning the query syntax, like SQL. And then within marketing, I'll get deeper into this, but it's primarily we are using as a productivity tool. Right? There are many areas specifically around understanding our prospects and customers better, building collateral faster, and actually moving the responsibility to move faster, closer to the regional teams, right? So they can actually take material from the central teams, but they can quickly roll out a webinar, an event, something local, collateral that they need, right? So those are the areas where we are starting to use AI a lot, Gen AI.
Great. Hello. Can you guys hear me? I think so. Hi, everyone. I'm Mandy Dhaliwal. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Nutanix. We are a hybrid multi-cloud company. We have a platform that delivers apps and data running anywhere, simply. And so in my world, I've been at Nutanix about 2.5 years. Lifelong marketer, started my career in Silicon Valley in storage. Have done several startups, have had multiple exits. Most recently, I was Chief Marketing Officer of Boomi, which is a division of Dell Technologies. We exited to private equity, and I ended up fulfilling my aspiration to become a public company CMO. So Nutanix is really interesting in my role within generative AI right now. I find myself immersed with it everywhere. We have an AI-ready infrastructure product that we just launched this week. We have a product that we launched about 18 months ago called GPT in a Box. So really giving our customers the ability to run those AI applications that Chandra spoke about on infrastructure and running it the same way, irrespective of where your workloads are. So that's our value prop to our customers. I sit on the board of a conversational AI company that is in the B2C space. So we're navigating our journeys as customers to be more intelligent and data-driven and also generate revenue through bots. So that's a really exciting space that's heated up a lot. And as a business leader, I'm bringing AI in, and I'm really impatient on that front to really start to change the game and give us a leg up from a competitive advantage standpoint to be able to deliver messaging to the market faster, deliver best experiences for our customers, as well as to be able to go prospect and build pipeline quickly. So lots of activity as a part of our company. We're about a 7,000 person company, $20 billion market cap. We have now an AI governance council that's led by our CIO. Every single department within our company has AI. So in HR, we're looking at it to remove bias out of our hiring process. Legal, from a contracts perspective, to be able to get data out quicker. So automation of the undifferentiated heavy lifting tasks that we do. And really the mindset, support GPT is another one, co-pilots for our engineering teams as well. Really, and the goal is for the humans to become more human, is how I like to think about it. So it's a really exciting time, and really honored to be here to have this conversation with you all.
Thanks, Mandy. Mike?
Let me just take this off. All right, hopefully you guys can hear me now. So, Mike, Anand, it's nice to meet you all and be here. I still feel like you can hear me. Is it better now? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I work, I'm a chief marketing officer at a company called Leapwork. We are actually a Denmark-based company. We're an AI-based test automation platform. And I've had this is my second journey of a career. I've been a longer part of my career has been actually building products. So I've not spent enough time in marketing, but my last 3 gigs have been in marketing. Prior to Leapwork, I was CMO at a company called Redis. Some of you might know it's one of the largest open source company. Joined them around 30-ish million, left around 200 million plus range. So we felt like we had a really good run. And prior to that, I was at AWS and ran growth marketing for container business, ran observability marketing for 2 other services prior to that. And before that, I actually met Anand at a company called App Dynamics. I think some of you probably know Jyoti Bansal. He's going to join here at 4 o'clock. So yeah, those are the 4 roles where I've done marketing. But before that, I'm happy to geek out with anybody that wants to geek out about products as being an old product guy. Look, I think, our journey for AI, if you actually look at mission of Leapwork, the DNA of the company is really about blurring the lines between humans and machines. So we feel like we've been on this journey with AI for a while. Now we have actually technology that has matched up to where we want to be. So we're marching towards building autonomous testing, where you just tell the world, hey, I would like to test X. It looks at what you need to do and actually designs the test cases, runs it, and gives you the results. So that's the ambition we're on. That's what we're building. Really excited about that. Actually, 70% of the company is using GPT-4 in some format or the other. So it's not just the engineering or the product teams, but it's also marketing team. And I think we'll get into the conversation of marketing and AI, but I really feel like, you know, always the conversation is marketing regardless, before AI, after AI, during, now in AI, it always starts with efficiency, but there's so much more we can do with marketing and AI. So I've got lots of thoughts and ideas. I want to custom GPT for every marketing organization that I have inside my world, and we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the use cases, but I'm happy to share what I know and happy to learn from some of your questions and the great panelists sitting next to me. So,
Sounds good,
thank
Mike.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for intro and just kind of talking about state of AI in your organization. So people are using AI for two things primarily. I hear multiple different use cases, but one is kind of improving efficiency within whatever you're doing. In this case, marketing, or for resource reduction, or basically you have lesser budget and you're trying to kind of do things. So basically, ultimately, reduce resources. So can you, I'll start from you, Mandy. Why don't you kind of just comment on how do you see this in your organization? Or it could be a combination of both, like improve efficiency and kind of using the same resources to do something else. So please.
Yeah, love the question. I think, I'm going to cite some research that I saw recently from Gartner, right? Generative AI is a top line and bottom line driver, and we're in the very early innings of it. They did some research where they spoke to a cross section of CEOs globally, and over 60% of CEOs today believe that fundamentally how we operate our businesses is going to change due to generative AI, right? So the workflows, the processes, everything. That's the longer tail vision of where we're headed in this journey. I know we're in the middle of a massive hype cycle, but really we've got to think about this from a long tail perspective. Short term, obviously there's efficiency impact, right? We're going to get better at doing things. We can write a white paper way quicker than we ever could have. We're going from months to weeks to days. So absolutely, that's a game changer for us. But I think we have to have that in the back of our minds that there's a longer tail on generative AI. And so we'd be short-sighted not to think about that today. The other challenge we have right now is that it's a panacea, right? There's data quality issues. There's risk in terms of data privacy, cost. Business value of these tools is not proven at all, right? And so I think we have to take kind of the lens of, okay, yes, and. I'm bringing it in. We've got all sorts of technology in around content creation is the biggest use case in marketing right now that I think Gen AI solves pretty easily, but there's a long tail of things that we have to get right before it'll truly turn into the efficiency driver that we need it to be for the enterprise.
Chandra, you want to add something?
Sure. I think there's always this conversation as a marketer on, is it about reducing cost or is it about driving revenue? Right? And how many folks in the audience are marketers? Okay, so roughly half of you here. And it's a little bit of a false, sort of trade-off in my mind. It's if you consider marketing a cost center, you might as well consider engineering a cost center. You consider, of course, finance a cost center, and so on. But if all these divisions don't work well together, you don't generate pipeline and close deals and make customers happy and expand your footprint, right? And so the way I think about it, at least at the stage of company where I am, there's a couple of sort of ways in which we think about Gen AI. First is, I actually do want the efficiency, because at the stage that we are in our company, we need to what we call scale. And scale for me means the cost cannot go up at the same rate as our revenue, right? So if I add $1 in cost, I should be able to get $2 in revenue or $3 in revenue. And that is not the case in the past. We are still not cash flow positive, right? At many startups, you spend more money than you bring in. And so I see Gen AI coming in as a big help for me in accelerating the process towards being able to scale. And the moment I get to a place where I can actually generate more pipeline that converts at whatever the close rate is to revenue at a cost that is lower than the revenue that comes in, suddenly I do become a profit center. Then I can go back to the board and say, look, you know what? If if I spend $1 in marketing, we can get $3 in revenue, as opposed to $2 and then which is not profitable, right? So that's where Gen AI helps. So now, where specifically does it help? This is where, while I'm long on Gen AI, I'm very, very cautious in the short term. For example, one idea was, hey, can we put a chatbot to answer questions from prospects? I have two ways to do it. I can put a generic chatbot with GPT behind it, or Gemini, or whatever it is. And I can tell you, if it gives an answer on my pricing for my product that is wrong, I'm in all kinds of trouble, right? The second option is I can actually then build an application and get it right. Am I going to spend $1 million building a ChatGPT enabled application? No, we are too small a company for that, right? So I'm very hesitant in pushing AI into customer facing or prospect facing use cases. What I do use it is internally. And the biggest use case I have, actually, funnily enough, is what we call entity resolution for Customer 360. Means I get contacts from various different places, right? From third-party events we go to, people who sign up for webinars and so on. I don't know if all the IDs I get and the emails I get belong to one person or multiple people. And here, Gen AI has done a fantastic job of actually resolving multiple identities into one with a pretty high degree of confidence. And when it gets it wrong, it's okay. Because without it, I would be worse off, I would be wronger, right? And so that's a great place where I think assistive technology in the existing products we have can actually help us be more productive.
Mike, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, look, I think, if you think about efficiency in marketing, yes, can you produce more content at a faster speed? Can you analyze data points and the crumbs of data that's sitting everywhere to better understand where your customers are, what your product market fit is? Yes. But I think as marketers, I think we need to really think about the cost of producing content and all that is going to zero, right? So if that's the case, how are we going to do marketing differently? Because today it starts with, top of the funnel, we run the ads, then we bring people to the website, and then we take them to events and webinars, and then we give them case studies, and we close them, and blah, 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 right? You guys know all that, right? But that's not how it's going to work 2 years from now, right? People don't want marketing pitches from me, though, Mandy, I appreciate you making the pitch for Leapwork because nobody's testing AI. That's exactly what we're doing, so I appreciate that. But the world is changing. I mean, if you just ask them a question about the product, it's going to actually buy the product for you and give you content related to it. You don't have to do anything. So I think the world is changing for marketing. So I think those of you that are in marketing here, I want you to really think about how do you make marketing relevant to give them the answers rather than making the marketing pitch. So that's what I want to think about AI and in terms of efficiency for us. So for example, every call that we run in Clary or whatever tool you run, I actually am using AI to understand the keywords that customers are bringing up, not that what I'm bringing up, and then I want to produce the content to that. I don't care what my product marketing team honestly says today because I don't have time to interview 1,500 people, but I can listen to 1,500 calls in a matter of hours, pick the right words that are coming up, the right objections that are coming up, and then build the content for that. Because someday, and actually already today, some people are not testing for test automation anymore. They're just saying, give me a solution for test automation. That's very different than, and so how do I get Leapwork up there in the minds of those people? So I think in efficiency, I always tell my CFO and CEO, I don't want to talk to you about efficiency of dollars saved from creating content or hiring 2 less people. I'm talking about a different way of thinking of efficiency. So yeah, that would be my
So
place.
we heard a couple of good use cases. One is that you are not taking AI to kind of like generating content, generating personalized email, but you're kind of focusing more on what you could do internally to get efficiency. Mandy, you talked about content as well as many other automation within the company, and you talked about kind of how do we get insights from sales data, the win and loss analysis, the conversations that sales reps have with end customers, mining that and kind of taking that information and GPT or LLM providing insights from that so that you could use that to make your messaging more relevant, your pitches more relevant, and in turn, develop better content. all good. We are all B2B marketers here, right? So we talked about a B, our business, how we improve efficiency of our business. How about the other B, like you're marketing to the B, other B? All of us are like getting so many messages, AI generated messages in our inbox and in LinkedIn. How about our customers? If you're thinking about kind of using AI to reach out to the customer, what do they think? Have you heard from your end customers or like in your customer advisory board? I know Mandy Nutanix is pretty big about customer advisory board. Are they worried about any of those? How these machines will reach out with fair or maybe not so fair information?
Yeah, let me just jump right in because we can't be spamming, right? We're already blacklisted for that. And so more is more. And my hope for us is to take those signals, take that data, and provide more specificity in terms of the personalization. I think that's the opportunity for us. If we just, it's irresponsible for us as marketers to just continue the spam game, right, and the outbound game. So that's what I think about a lot. The other thing I think about is the journeys on our websites, right? The way we architect our websites today is not going to be relevant in a Gen AI world. Semantic search is already, SEO is being disrupted, right? You think about the website. Do I really need all those beautiful pages and all those CTAs? If I can just go into ChatGPT and say, I'm looking for the best price solution to run this workload here. Think about that too, right? So the way we communicate with the other B is going to change, and they're going to lead that conversation, is my prediction.
Look, I think at the end of the day, I think like the opportunity for marketing, like Mandy said, isn't in putting a chatbot in front of something to make us talk to more customers at a faster rate. I think it's about finding the right customer that actually is looking for a solution that we want. Because even if you look at Salesforce, I mean, they're going, a lot of people are talking about SaaS is that nobody wants to pay for the license. They're going an agent-based pricing and pricing model. Like, why is that? If you think about it. So for us, I think for me, for the other business, it isn't about, we're best at it. We're 1/3 cheaper. We do 5x this and 4x that. All the numbers that marketers like to push in there. At the end of the day, I think, we know for a long period of time that 70% of the time they talk to sales today, the research is done. The marketing is what they've used to learn about what they need. But I think by the time 2026 comes out, I think 100% of that is done, right? You ask Google that question. So I think for me, we just had a 2-hour discussion yesterday with my team about SEO, and we're completely changing the way that we think about keywords. The keywords are all going to be about the so what. What is it actually that we do for the other business? It isn't going to be about my product, what we do, right? Because they're not going to ask me about my product. They're going to say, well, I'm a CFO. I just came in because the last guy couldn't get ERP installed. I need to do ERP testing. My business I can't release the apps. What is the so what of that? That's not how I pitch the product today. So I think we have to really completely change the way we think about it. And for us, it really starts with the organic traffic because Google is taking all that anyways away from it, right? Now, it's a different question about Google itself, and the search itself is going to be around. If you ask the OpenAI people, they don't think so because it's all agents. You have an agent, you just ask that agent the question, and then the agent delivers it. You're not going to go to a search engine to do the search. So I think there are some really consequential decisions, and I think it's great to be that all of us are in that journey together, and we'll learn together. So that's what I would add.
Chandra, do you have anything you want to add?
There's a bunch of thoughts running around my head, but the biggest one is if I'm the 2B, the second part of the B, and I'm the one who's being reached out to, I actually really don't care whether you're using Gen AI to reach out to me or not. But because Gen AI is going to reduce the cost of people reaching out to me, I'm probably going to use an LLM to weed out all these messages that I get every morning so I don't have to go through them one by one, right? And so I think I completely agree with, hey, first let's stop spamming, right? Like if you can reach out to the person who actually wants to be educated and inspired, then they will automatically get more information from us. And I love your point about SEO and how data is being consumed. An example for us is we are now trying to work with the LLM providers to actually train the GPT model or the Gemini model on graph databases and how to use graph databases. So it becomes part of the model answer itself, and that's a good way to reach out to prospects who may be kind of interested, right? So I think, it's going to be an interesting, journey over the next few years on how this interaction, the two in the B2B actually happens and plays out.
Very good. So now that, like we talked about different use cases, we talked about the way, like we do marketing, whether it's SEO or content, will be changing. There will be impact. What are you doing in your organization from your org design, like people, processes, taking new technology? What are the things that you have started to work on? Just kind of give a little idea to the audience. And I would also ask one, this will be the last question, and I want you to end your thoughts with insight or question that audience could take to their CMOs and ask them to work on or consider. So, two-part question, last question, but two-part. First, what are you doing in your organization, and what do you want the audience to take away from here and work on it, something actionable? Ranga, you want? Yeah, please.
So when the whole Gen AI wave hit last year, I spent some time with my leadership team saying, what do we need to do differently? And very quickly we realized this can be a massive distraction. Right? We're a small, lean team, and if every director is running around trying to figure out how to add Gen AI and ChatGPT to their resumes, then my business will stop, right? And so we chose not to make any big organizational changes, but we did run a process to make sure that every team came back with ideas on what they could or could not do, and the crazy ideas we build a new application for global eye through out of the window, and the rest of them, where they can, they end up sort of moving forward and doing that. The second part of the question is, what can you ask your CMOs? So I feel a lot of pressure from the board and from my e-staff members on, hey, how are you using Gen AI to reduce your cost, right? And what was very helpful for me was when my team came back and said, look, we have done this review. Here are the things where it's actually going to be useful. Here's where it's not going to be useful, and this is why. And that let me just build a couple of slides and then share it around with my e-staff and my board members. Just ground them as what's possible and what's not, because most people don't know what's possible, what's not. Like everything is pie in the sky. And that actually helped just reduce this chatter, right, between e-staff and the board and me, which also makes us as a leadership team a little bit more effective. So I would say, if you want to help your CMO, do a little bit of the research and give very clear points on what can work and what cannot work, and then keep that updated once every 6 months.
Great advice. I'll be implementing some of that. I think, to echo, I think, taking Gen AI and really chasing it is kind of like running with scissors, because we have businesses to run ourselves, so we have to be careful. I run a team of almost 300 folks globally, right? And I need them focused on the mission, because we're building fast and scaling fast. And so for me, the conversation, a couple of things that keep me up at night, the skills gap, and I think somebody mentioned it in the last panel as well. How do I use this Gen AI capability to be able to provide a retention mechanism for my top talent? But how do I also get the hand raisers that are genuinely interested without the CMO saying, I'm pushing this down to you all? How do I get some folks that are early adopters to come and create some thought leadership? So to that end, we've built an AI council within the marketing organization. So a really small group of folks that are running experiments in addition to their day jobs. So these are people that are true enthusiasts and trying to figure out how we harden our processes a little bit. So allow space for that experimentation, right? Be able to go endorse and sponsor those folks. I think that's really important. But at the same time, don't take your eye off the ball, because, I could have the best Gen AI implementation, but if I miss the number, I'm not going to be here anymore, right? So some real practical advice on that in that regard. And I think, I speak a lot about content creation because we have a massive portfolio, and I really need technological how-to content from all my stakeholders across our engineering teams. There's thousands of engineers working on our platform at any given time, and I want to give them a voice. And so for me, my conversations that I have with those technical folks, the PM folks, or the engineering builders is come to me with an idea. We'll write the first rev and get your name out there, and to be able to go create more mind share and more halo around the company and how we build, because we sell to a deeply technical audience. I can't put writers on everything. So I'm really excited about the possibility of having this chance to get content out that's timely and poignant and relevant to the target audiences that we serve. So ideas around that, right? And the last thing I'll say, and I say this a lot, not all good ideas are invented in marketing. If you've got something that you're thinking about, go talk to your fellow marketers and share, right? Just like we're all in sales, we're all in marketing too.
So I think for me, we're actually building 4 custom GPTs inside marketing team. So I have I'm actually building one for myself. So I have Ganesh. Ganesh is my CMO GPT assistant, and I train Ganesh all the time. Now I have to change the name because I get advice from Ganesh, and right now I have a GPT called Ganesh. So put that aside, but I'm fully aware of that. But we're building 4 GPTs. I own SDRs and BDRs, so my idea with that GPT, for example, is what I really want to understand is I want to eliminate the first meeting calls where we're just trying to find the right conversation to have. So if I cannot hire SDRs and BDRs around the globe because, I don't have Mandy's pockets, I need to do it differently, right? So we have to find a way to do that. I think on the customer and lifecycle marketing, I really want to personalize the message. So who you are, which part of the world you are in, we personalize the message and then email, and my intention is that we'll invite to the beer or whiskey event or whatever we're doing in that region that is custom to you, who you are. We're not going to talk to you about just random test automation. We're going to actually talk to you about what is it that you're testing. We're not there yet on any of these, but those are the GPTs we're building. I have one for product marketing, and the one that I'm actually really using extensively right now is on the SEO side. So I think what I like to do is to test all the keywords, build the landing pages faster, check the bounce rate and bounce time, and then redo it. And then keep repeating it until we find the right one, and then just go with that. So I think at the end of the day for us, it's about adding the brain power. It isn't about efficiency. So I'm just looking to add the brain power on the team that I don't have the budgets for, and then do it a little bit faster than we were doing it last year. My idea for you guys is, look, I think, again, I am all about authenticity. So if you're a builder, if you're on product side, if you're on the engineering side, if you're on the customer side, I would rather put you on my video. I would rather have you write we will write it, we'll do everything. We'll interview you, and we'll take one of you and one content from you, and we'll turn into 7 different things. We'll make 3 tweets out of your thing. We'll write, we'll do 4 one-minute videos from that 1 20-minute webinar that you might do with us. So just come with the idea, tell us, because again, I want to make it relevant for our customers. So if you have those ideas, come talk to us, and rather put your face than any of ours, to be quite honest.
Great. Thanks, Mike. With that, let's call it today. I think I'm getting a little signal over there for the next session. So thank you so much to the panelists, Mike, Mandy, and Rangan. It was really great, and we'll be outside. If you have anyone that has any question, they could come outside and talk to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.